Hey everyone, it's Jamie. There was this Tesla in my neighborhood in Toronto the other day. Someone had slapped a bumper sticker on the back, and it read, "Sorry guys, I just wanted an electric car." It's just a small example of this much wider campaign that has really ramped up against Elon Musk's company since it became clear to a lot of people that he has become a kind of menace to American and global democracies. Tesla dealerships are being picketed around the world, with a Trash Tesla campaign gaining popularity.
We liked what Elon used to stand for, and now we don't. You did this to yourself, bro. We were devoted customers, and now we are hell-bent against you.
I shouldn't even have an opinion about the guy. It's his own life, but being affiliated with them, people have an opinion about me.
At the same time, there's been a lot of vandalism and even some violence, with cars and Cybertrucks being set on fire.
Authorities investigating what they're calling a targeted attack on a Tesla repair center in Las Vegas.
Charging stations have been damaged too. Individual cars have been painted with swastikas. And in at least 3 instances, shots fired at Tesla dealerships. Tesla stock has fallen off a cliff, down 42% since the beginning of the year. Today on the show, Wired writer Carlton Reid is here, and we're going to talk about this campaign to take down Tesla and how it has become this, at times violent, act of resistance against the Trump administration and the richest man in the world. Carlton, hey, thanks so much for being here.
That's quite all right.
So tell me how this campaign against Tesla and Elon Musk came about. What's the origin story here? Who's behind it?
Can I start by just decoupling the violence and the Tesla takedown movement? So the protest movement is a grassroots, non-violent protest movement, First Amendment. We're allowed to be on the sidewalk here and hold up our brown cardboard banners, poking fun at Elon Musk. And then you have the torchings and you have the criminal damage. These are two very different things. So one shouldn't conflate the two. They're both going on at the same time, but they are very different people.
Right. Well, then can you tell me a little bit more about this nonviolent, peaceful protest?
I've interviewed the protagonists. It basically bubbled up on Blue Sky. So the where people left when they left Twitter because of the same reason we're talking here now, the Elon Musk problem. And this disinformation researcher called Joan Donovan, Boston University, she messaged out, we should be doing something on the streets and protesting this, and put it out to her, 20,000, 30,000 followers. And a guy called Alex Winter, who is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, amplified it and said, yeah, let's do something here. And then he created the Tesla takedown website. And it's grown organically from there. And it's, as I said, it's grassroots. These are ordinary people. This is a pretty middle class, kind of posh kind of movement.
Upwards of 1,000 demonstrators Saturday targeting this Tesla store.
The country is being taken over by a fascist regime that's taking away our rights. This is scary.
I grew up in the 60s, and I have never seen it so bad. And I'm worried that my grandchildren won't grow up in a democracy.
It's not the violent movement. These are not, thugs going out there. These are grannies. These are families. These are mariachi bands. These are people just out there kind of having fun outside a Tesla showroom, now around the world, and just, using their right to protest to say, we don't agree with what is happening in the US government with this unelected, in effect, bureaucrat who is, if not the president, certainly, the best buddy. So they wanted to protest against that.
And just to be clear here, these nonviolent protests, the pickets and stuff, it's not just a few, right? Like they're popping up all over the country.
Just before we started talking, I thought I'd go onto the Tesla takedown website and count them. And it's now page after page after page. And for my piece, I went through every page and counted every single protest. Now it's getting so many, I can no longer keep count. So there are many hundreds. When I did my first story, there was about 110. And now, it's pretty much anywhere there's a Tesla, and even places where there probably aren't many Teslas, there are now protests, mostly focused on Tesla showrooms, because that's the most visible presence of Elon Musk around the world.
I'll just mention, we've had them here too. In BC and Langley, residents joined one of those Tesla takedown protests as well, picketed outside a dealership.
Elon Musk represents a real danger to democracy. He and President Trump and the other oligarchs are dismantling democracy in the United States right now. And there's a very real threat that movement will come across the border into Canada.
And then I mentioned those bumper stickers on the Tesla in Toronto, the one that said, "Sorry guys, I just wanted an electric car." But there are lots of other examples of this. Tell me a little bit more about that. I know that you've also spoken to a bunch of pretty depressed Tesla owners. And what did they tell you?
Yes, I think these stickers, that's who they went to originally. There's some people making some decent money, selling many multiples of thousands of stickers per day.
Drivers are sporting bumper stickers that read, "I bought this before Elon went crazy." Some competitors like Kia are capitalizing. Their sticker says, "I bought this after Elon went crazy."
But mainly it's for Tesla owners to actually stick on their own car, which is an incredible thing to happen for any brand, for people to hide the fact or say sorry for the fact that they are owning this brand. That's incredibly damaging.
What are those people saying? The people that own the Teslas?
Some go on the record with their names. The great majority, I'm having to talk to via Signal and anonymize them. And that's because, we're talking about the violence against Tesla showrooms. But people who mention that they're no longer fans of Elon Musk or Tesla are getting death threats and getting lots of horrible stuff happening to them.
Huh.
But they all say roughly the same thing. And in fact, I was in a hotel this morning where there was an owner of a Polestar car, which is like a Tesla competitor. And I was simply saying, "No, it's a nice car you got there. Why have you got a Polestar?" And she said, "Oh, it was the Elon Musk thing. Before Christmas, I just had to get rid of Tesla because it's now toxic."
Mm.
And every person you speak to, a Tesla owner, are either in that kind of process of getting rid and knowing they're going to lose a ton of money, or they've already got rid of their Tesla.
How has Elon responded to all of this? What have we seen him do? Do we have a sense of whether this has really shook him?
So when I've done my articles on the Tesla takedown movement, the first one I did, I asked Joan and Alex, I said, "Are you upset that Elon Musk hasn't mentioned you yet?" And they kind of were, because they assumed he would mention them. And at that point, he hadn't tweeted anything, hadn't said anything. And then it was just a day, 2 days after that, that's when he started saying it's violent protests, these are terrorists. And then he was trying to conflate the movement with the violent protests which have been bubbling up.
I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. Democrats were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships. And I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it, because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
President Trump also started pitching in.
The Trump administration calling the attacks on Tesla domestic terrorism.
But I think they're going to suffer very grave consequences because they're really terrorists when you think about it.
So very much he's noticed it. And the share price has fluctuated. It hasn't just gone down. It has gone up as well. That clearly has rattled him. Now, whether it's the Tesla takedown protests that are doing that to his share price, or just him himself, nobody could ever really track that. But the very fact that he's tweeting about it and getting his best buddy in the White House to, have a used car lot on the front of the White House.
Right in front of the White House. They're just talking Teslas.
That tells you a lot. That tells you he is rattled.
I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product.
Pitching like a car salesman, it's odd to see the president gushing over an electric car. He's not a fan, but helping out First Buddy Elon Musk after Tesla prices have been in a free fall.
Let's spend a little bit more time on the share price. So I know you mentioned that it's hard to know exactly what's causing the meltdown, but the company also was facing other issues, right?
The company Tesla is coming under enormous pressure around the world. So, at one point, it was the only brand out there, literally the only electric brand, mass market electric brand. That's not the case anymore. There are lots of electric car companies, including from China, which we get here in Europe. North America doesn't tend to get those Chinese cars. And they are having all of these pressures coming at them and better technologies. And what you've got to understand is Tesla's model lineup is incredibly dated. These are old cars. So if I was a Tesla director, I would be sitting here pulling my hair out because he is trashing the brand. So for all of the Tesla takedown being something that's, worthy of note, is the one who's really doing Tesla takedown is Elon Musk himself. And so that's what's happening with Tesla. The competition, people realizing that Elon Musk isn't who he says he is and doesn't know what he says he knows. He's just having an enormous amount of pressure on that brand. So a normal company, you would get rid of that figurehead when that figurehead starts doing that kind of strange stuff. So the signs have been there. So anybody who's put the sticker on in the last year to say, well, I'm putting this on because that's before Elon became crazy. No, he's been crazy for years. We just haven't noticed. And then more and more people have started to notice.
You mentioned before that the Teslas are much older models and not as shiny and interesting for people. But the newer models are the Cybertrucks, right? And that's also a problem. Am I correct to say that?
Absolutely. Well, that's his vanity project. What he should have done in the company, they knew this, was they needed to bring out a cheaper, an entry-level electric car. So all the cars that Tesla's got at the moment, they're relatively, in fact, very expensive. So they are not, entry-level electric cars. So he's let that market go. And that's the market that the Chinese are going to eat his lunch. Virtually all manufacturers are going to eat Tesla's lunch because they haven't done this cheaper product. Now, Musk says it's coming, but he said that for all products, constantly. Everything's always coming in the next year, and it never arrives. It's like the full self-driving. We're going to have complete roads with driverless cars, is what he said, 5 years ago. And he said, yeah, that'll happen within 2 years. It never actually comes. He's really good at projecting all his dreams and hopes and bluster into the future. And, the investors, the Tesla bulls who believe this stuff, just keep on inflating his share price. And at some point, that's going to stop. And the company will collapse because they'll realize, the robots, he says, they're going to do. Okay, there's 15 companies out there probably making better robots than Tesla. Certainly better cars out there than Tesla. Robo-taxis, big deal. Waymo has already got, robo-taxis driving around. So all these Tesla bulls are talking about technologies that other companies are doing. Other companies are doing better. And they will come to rue the way they've allowed Musk to fool them.
And just didn't they very recently do a huge recall? Like they basically recalled nearly all of the Cybertrucks.
46,078 Cybertrucks, which is every single Cybertruck they have sold to date. And the sales are dropping, partly for the Tesla takedown reasons, but mostly because the quality control on these things are terrible. It's the most recalled motor vehicle, in fact, in America this year. Nothing else is anywhere close. This is absolutely ridiculous. Some of the recalls are over the air, but then there are these major physical ones. So the latest one dropped a couple of days ago. they used the wrong type of glue.
The issue is linked to a cosmetic panel that could detach and then cause a road hazard. It is the 8th recall for the Cybertruck since it was first released in 2023. The agency says...
Now, the reason that's kind of funny for us, not funny for owners, but funny for us, is that a couple of years back, Musk said, on one of his many, many episodes of Bluster and Hyperbole, he said, there's probably nobody on this planet knows about manufacturing more than me.
I became very good at manufacturing because I had to. There was no choice. At this point, I might know more about manufacturing than any human ever has because I've manufactured so many different things in so many different arenas.
Listen, Musk, you can't even stick your cars with the right kind of glue. Don't come to me with saying you're a genius at manufacturing, please.
Tesla isn't the only company that Elon is at the helm of, right? He also helms Starlink, SpaceX, X. Are any of those companies facing any kind of protest campaigns? Are they taking big hits?
They weren't before, they are now. You know, come January when Musk started really, you know, there was enough people gave him the benefit of the doubt in bankrolling Trump in the election. That was kind of one thing. But then really getting his hands dirty with the US government, that has changed a lot. And nation states who might have previously, say, bought Starlink are now realizing that this is an Elon Musk company. Elon Musk is now, in effect, a player in another country that is becoming a competitor country. So where there were previous allies, you know, America is, as you know, in Canada, is making enemies of allies and making friends of what should have been its enemies.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says American businesses are going to lose out on tens of billions of dollars in revenue, and they only have Donald Trump to blame. The province ripping up that $100 million contract it has with Starlink, which helps to provide or would help to provide internet access to remote areas in Northern Ontario. Doug Ford.
And so the companies that Musk is involved with basically didn't invent these companies. He didn't found some of these companies. For instance, Tesla, he didn't found Tesla. He's not a genius who thought of that first. He bought into it and then took over the company. So all of these companies that he in effect controls, they too would probably quite like him not to be quite so visible. And they would much prefer them to do their business without him being in effect the head of the US government. And that is damaging them. For instance, Starlink is the market leader right now, certainly can put, more satellites into space. It can do all sorts of things that other companies can't do now. But those companies have probably got 4, 5, 6 months to catch up. And they are being funded to do that by a whole variety of funding sources. So he's basically showing people what to do. Here's how to attack my companies. And you're attacking Musk. And people are very happy around the world to attack Musk. And all of his different companies, they must be quaking in their boots, thinking that he's destroying what he built up.
I was just reading this piece in the New York Times that outlined how Musk and his companies are positioned to profit off billions of dollars in new government contracts. SpaceX is being trumpeted as this new way to move military cargo around the world. Starlink is now eligible for the federal government's $52 billion rural broadband push. NASA is being pushed to turn its focus to Mars, allowing SpaceX to move to put people on that planet. And talking about Tesla in particular, Trump announced these tariffs on non-American car imports and some car parts on Wednesday, and this should benefit Tesla because it builds all the cars that it sells in the U.S. and would be exempt from tariffs. And my understanding is that this is not the case for Tesla's main competitors. This is all to say that on balance, it's not clear to me that Elon's decision to align himself with Trump is resulting or will necessarily result in this massive financial hit, right?
Yes. I mean, getting your fingers in that's a very lucrative pile to get your fingers into. Is it sustainable though? You know, an international company needs to sell internationally. Yes, you can get contract after contract after contract if your best buddy is giving you those contracts, or if you're going in and destroying an agency and then gutting from the inside. But that's not terribly sustainable. And it's not something that technologically is very clever either, because you want the best of the best of the best. And if all you're doing is in effect getting, you know, sugar daddy to bail you out, well, that's not a company that's, you know, going to last for a long time. So we've got 4 years of this. Okay, he might earn a load of money in between times, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the case, you know, in the next administration. He's a phenomenally wealthy man, of course, and no matter how much Tesla takedown takes him down, he's still going to be a billionaire. So when you talk about, you know, how much he's lost in the last few months, yes, he's lost half his paper fortune, but he's still phenomenally wealthy. You know, probably still in the top 5 in the Forbes list, etc. But it might not be like that forever. So he does risk an enormous amount, and that is his modus operandi. He has risked so much in the past, and he's now risking everything. He's put every single card on the table here for Trump. And that, yes, in the short term might do him good. But in the long term, there are so many things that can derail you. 5 years' time, 10 years' time, come back to me. I think it'll be a very, very different picture.
Yeah, I'd love to. You can say a lot of things about Elon Musk. One of the things is certainly an extraordinary risk tolerance. Carlton, thank you very much for this. This was great. Lots of fun.
Thank you.
Just 2 things before we go. Transport Minister Chrystia Freeland says Canada has frozen $43 million in rebate payments for Tesla. This major and suspicious cash out happened in the final days of a federal EV rebate program. Tesla has also been banned from future EV rebates. And after heavy lobbying from Elon Musk and others, Delaware just passed a new law that makes it harder for shareholders to take companies to court and centralizes more power in the hands of CEOs and corporate boards. This followed a high-profile legal battle over a disputed $56 billion Tesla CEO pay package to Elon Musk. All right, that is all for this week. Front Burner was produced this week by Matthew Amha, Matt Muse, Ellie Janes, Joytha Shengupta, Kieran Outshorn, Mackenzie Cameron, and Sam McNulty. Our video producer is Evan Agard, and our YouTube producer is John Lee. Our music is by Joseph Shabison. Our senior producer is Elaine Chow. Our executive producer is Nick McCabe-Locos, and I'm Jamie Poisson. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.